In the brutal, larger-than-life world of professional wrestling, fame is a currency, and the spotlight is a drug. For two men from Montreal, that spotlight promised everything: championships, adoration, and a life beyond their wildest dreams. They were the princes of their city, two sides of the same golden coin. One was Rick Martel, the gifted athlete, whose path led to global stardom and a celebrated career. The other was Dino Bravo, the powerhouse, whose journey took a sharp, dark turn into the shadows of the criminal underworld. This is a story of parallel lives that ended in dramatically different places. It's the story of how one of Montreal's biggest wrestling heroes, a man who had it all, ended up paying the ultimate price for his ties to the mob. His life was ended by 17 bullets in a crime that, to this day, remains unsolved. How does a champion fall so far? To understand the execution, you first have to understand the kingdom he built and the demons that brought it crashing down. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, long before the titans of the WWW patchwork of fiercely independent territories, each had its own king, its own heroes, and its own flavor. In Quebec, that kingdom was called Lutte Internationale, or International Wrestling. And at the heart of it all were two of Canada's most popular stars, Rick Martel and Dino Bravo. Rick Martel was the total package. He was athletic, handsome, and a brilliant technical wrestler, a pure babyface the fans couldn't help to love. As a second-generation star, wrestling was in his blood, and his talent was undeniable. Martel was the kind of performer who could have a great match with anyone. Then there was Dino Bravo. Born Adolfo Bresciano, he was a different kind of animal. A barrel-chested powerhouse billed as Canada's strongest man, Bravo was all force where Martel was finesse. He wasn't just the top star of international wrestling, he was also a part owner. As the head booker, Bravo made sure the promotion revolved around him, a move that stirred up tension with other talented wrestlers who felt they were being held back. Together, they were the cornerstones of Quebec wrestling, selling out arenas and carrying the territory on their backs. But even then, a dark connection was taking shape in Bravo's life. While Martel was dedicated to his craft, Bravo had family ties to a much more dangerous world. Through marriage, Dino Bravo was the nephew of Vincenzo Vic Cotroni, the undisputed godfather of the Montreal Mafia. The Cotroni Crime Family was a powerful branch of New York's infamous Bonanno family, and their influence in the city was massive. For a while, this connection stayed in the background. In the ring, Dino Bravo was a hero. He was their champion, their strongman. In 1984, both men hit career highs. On May 13th, Rick Martel defeated the legendary Jumbo Tsuruta to win the AWA World Heavyweight Championship, one of the three major world titles in North America. Both men were on top of the world, the undisputed princes of Montreal wrestling. But the ground was about to shift, and when their kingdom crumbled, they were forced down two very different paths. The mid-1980s brought an earthquake to the wrestling business. Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation began its hostile takeover of the industry, crushing the regional territories one by one. McMahon didn't just invade their markets, he poached their top stars to fuel his global machine. The vibrant Montreal scene died out. For its top stars, the choice was simple: sign with the WWF or fade into obscurity. Rick Martel, the AWA World Champion, saw the writing on the wall. He eventually joined the WWF, where he was repackaged as the Model, an arrogant heel who enjoyed a long, successful, and clean career. Dino Bravo also made the jump. The WWF, wanting to capture the Montreal market, signed its biggest star. For a time, Bravo was presented as a big deal, continuing his world's strongest man gimmick. But his prime was behind him. In the cartoonish world of 1980s WWF, the aging powerhouse became just another guy on the show, a mid-card act. His close friend, Rick Martel, even pitched an idea to management to form a tag team with Bravo, hoping to give his friend a boost. Martel offered to do most of the in-ring work, letting Bravo be the powerhouse. The idea was shot down. The company just didn't have big plans for Dino Bravo anymore. In 1992, his contract wasn't renewed. At 44 years old, Dino Bravo was effectively forced into retirement. The territorial system that made him a king was gone. The WWF, the only game in town, had just shown him the door. The roar of the crowd and the big paychecks vanished. This is where their paths split forever. Martel adapted and thrived, but for Bravo, the end of his wrestling career left a void he was desperate to fill. In an interview years later, Rick Martel explained his friend's mindset. Dino liked the high lifestyle, Martel said. He had a sports Mercedes, he had a big home, and suddenly wrestling was over. Dino couldn't be a 9-to-5 guy. He didn't have any business experience of any kind. Wrestling was his whole life. The man who had been a local legend was now facing a future with no spotlight. His pride made it impossible to accept a normal life. Martel recalled the humiliating moment when Bravo had to borrow money from his own mother. All the while, the criminal world that had been lingering in the background was calling to him. As Martel put it, his uncle by marriage was the head of the Mafia in Montreal, and he was always saying, "Dino, come work for me." With the arena lights fading, Dino Bravo stepped into the darkness. A normal life was never an option for Dino Bravo. His expensive taste and his need to be seen as a somebody left him vulnerable. With the WWF door closed, he turned to the only other world that offered that kind of status, the organization of his late uncle, Vic Cotroni, who had died of cancer in 1984. Bravo's imposing physique and reputation made him a natural fit for the role of a mob enforcer. He started working for the family, collecting debts and using his celebrity status to intimidate people. He soon found a new, very lucrative, and very dangerous venture, the illegal cigarette trade. In the early 1990s, high taxes in Canada created a booming black market for contraband cigarettes smuggled from indigenous reserves, where they were sold tax-free. It was a multi-million-dollar racket, and Dino dove in headfirst. Using his fame, Bravo connected with smugglers on the Ganawage Mohawk Reserve outside Montreal. Many of the smugglers were huge wrestling fans and were starstruck by Canada's strongest man. They gave him an exclusive deal, making him a major player overnight. The money was enormous, far more than he was making at the end of his wrestling career. His wife, Diane, later remembered her fear as he started bringing dangerous new associates around, a crowd that made the WWF locker room look tame. But this new business came with huge risks. Bravo wasn't just a retired wrestler anymore. He was a criminal operator, on the radar of law enforcement and, more importantly, other powerful figures in the underworld who wanted a piece of his action. Driven by greed, Bravo made a fatal mistake. He decided to expand into cocaine. He partnered with cocaine dealers connected to his cigarette smuggling operation. The deal was simple. Bravo would use one of his warehouses to store a large shipment of product for a few days before it was picked up. That shipment, believed to be part of a deal gone wrong, was reportedly worth around $400,000. The pickup never happened. Before the dealers could get their product, police raided the warehouse and seized the entire shipment. Whether it was bad luck or a tip from a rival, the result was the same. The dealers were out a fortune, and they blamed Dino Bravo for it. The pressure was immense. The man who once faced down Hulk Hogan in front of 20,000 people was now terrified for his life. He told his friend Rick Martel that he was in too deep. He knew there was a price on his head. The gangsters believed Bravo had either stolen the money or was responsible for the bust. In their world, a loss that big could only be repaid with blood. The evening of March 10th, 1993 was cold and quiet in the suburbs of Laval, Quebec. Inside his home, 44-year-old Dino Bravo sat in his favorite chair watching a hockey game. His wife and young daughter were out at a ballet lesson. The former champion was alone. It seemed like an ordinary night. What happened next was a professional, mob-style hit. There was no forced entry, the snow outside was undisturbed. Whoever killed Dino Bravo, he let them in. He trusted them. He might have even been watching the game with them. The attack was sudden and brutal. At least 2 different guns were used, a .22 and a .380 caliber. Bravo was shot 17 times, 7 times in the head and 10 more in his torso. He was shot from behind, never seeing it coming. When his wife returned home after midnight, she found a horrific scene. Her husband was dead in his chair, the TV remote still held loosely in his hand. A detail police noted suggested he was completely relaxed at the moment of betrayal. The murder sent shockwaves through Montreal and the wrestling world. Police immediately suspected a gangland slaying. The efficiency of the hit and the use of multiple shooters all pointed to organized crime. Within days, the investigation uncovered Bravo's role in the cigarette smuggling, and the story of the botched deal emerged. The motive seemed clear. It was retaliation for a massive financial loss. Authorities officially deemed the murder a settling of accounts. But despite the clear motive, the case went cold. The underworld is built on silence, and the professional nature of the hit left little evidence. More than 30 years later, the murder of Dino Bravo is still officially unsolved. No one has ever been charged with the crime. In the aftermath, theories swirled. The most common one is that the dealers who lost their shipment ordered the hit as payback. Another suggests his own partners in the smuggling ring killed him, either because they suspected he was skimming profits or because he was attracting too much attention from the police. Rick Martel believes the killer was someone Dino knew well, an insider. It was probably somebody that was watching hockey with him, Martel speculated, suggesting the person made an excuse to leave the room before coming back to shoot Bravo from behind. It was the ultimate betrayal, carried out by a friend he welcomed into his home. While Dino Bravo's life ended in a hail of gunfire, Rick Martel's continued on its steady, successful path. He finished his career, retired from the business cleanly, and transitioned into a quiet, private life, his legacy as one of the great technical wrestlers of his generation secure. The story of Dino Bravo is a chilling chapter in wrestling history. He's a symbol of the dangers that can haunt performers when the cheering stops. He was a man who tasted the pinnacle of fame and couldn't stand a life without it. His desire to maintain that high-flying lifestyle led him down a dark path with no escape. Montreal lost its wrestling scene twice, first to the WWF's corporate machine, and then its greatest local champion was executed by the mob, his name forever linked not just to wrestling, but to the brutal underworld that consumed him. His family was shattered, and his murder remains a haunting, open wound. It's a grim reminder that the battles outside the ring are often the most dangerous, and the line between a hero's glory and a tragic end can be terrifyingly thin. What are your memories of Dino Bravo and Rick Martel? Do you think the case will ever be solved? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story compelling, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden stories of professional wrestling. The tale of Rick Martel and Dino Bravo isn't just a wrestling story. It's a human tragedy about choices and consequences. 2 men started in the same city and shared the same dream, but one built his life on skill and professionalism, while the other built his on the precarious ground of crime and ego. In the end, one found a peaceful retirement, while the other met a violent end in his own living room. A fallen king in a kingdom of his own making. The dark side of the ring isn't always about what happens under the bright lights, but about the desperate choices made when those lights finally go out.